Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Allie Clifton, joined by my Spectrum SportsNet co-host Christopher McGee and our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan. Guys, we're just going to get right to it. This isn't a fun one, but it's a part of the business. The Lakers announced a coaching change, quote, parting ways with Darvin Ham after 2 seasons, lost in the conference finals a year ago, eliminated in the first round on Monday, both times by the Denver Nuggets. So in a statement, Lakers Vice President of Basketball Operations and General Manager Rob Pelinka said, quote, "We greatly appreciate Darvin's efforts on behalf of the Lakers and recognize the many accomplishments achieved over the past 2 seasons, including last year's remarkable run to the Western Conference Finals. We all want to thank Darvin for his dedication and positivity. While this was a difficult decision to make, it is the best course of action. Following a full review of the season, this organization will remain unwavering in its commitment to deliver championship caliber basketball to Laker fans around the world." So I guess we start there first and foremost, initial reactions. And with that said, just kind of how you would assess Darvin's Laker tenure over the last 2 seasons.
Geet, by the way, do you want to say why you're dressed in a suit? It's very impressive.
All business today, buddy.
All business.
All business. Got to do a little show.
You're definitely outclassing
about the news.
You're definitely outclassing us,
yeah,
or at least
so I figure,
me in particular.
Don't have to get ready if you stay around.
There you go.
I hope they would just pay attention to Geeter's suit and not recognize that we did not show up.
That's
how we were all dressing today. So.
Yeah. At any rate, back to the seriousness, no doubt about it, Allie Geet. Look, Darvin, we love Darvin. He's great to us. But what the problem is, it's such a numbers business these days, being an NBA coach. West Finals last year, fun run, unexpected, wildly entertaining. Yeah, as a rookie coach, good for him. This year, you could kind of see some of the cracks forming right around the halfway point of the season. The Athletic had that pretty damaging story saying 6 unnamed sources thought that his voice was getting pretty dim in the locker room. And then you heard really from the players more and more as the season went on, including in the last round, in the Lakers' only round, AD saying a pretty tough thing, I'm sure, for the coaching staff to hear. There were times we didn't know what we were doing at both ends of the court. And so when those things happen and the Lakers win one playoff game after going all the way to the West Finals a year ago, the over-under for many NBA coaches, especially first-time NBA head coaches, is what, 2 years, 2.5 these days? Maybe 1.5 years? It's crazy. So a good man has to go, and that's kind of the way it is. They're going to be looking for their 7th coach since Phil stepped away in 2011, Geet.
Yeah, I think you both bring up some good points. It is the culture of professional sports, and it is a sad day because you never wish this on anyone, and you hate to see good people lose their jobs, but it is part of the business, hence why we are here today talking about it. Listen, I'll say this. I think you said it first, Allie. Darvin was great to us. He was a friend of the show. He was awesome to work with. He treated everyone at Spectrum SportsNet perfectly. I think he can walk away holding his head high, because whether you've coached Little League or professional sports, a lot of time and effort goes into it. And you can imagine at the professional level, it is a 24/7 job. You're a CEO of a team. And then it's an organization like the Lakers. The bar is so high. The expectations are almost unattainable at times, right? Because it's championship or nothing. You at least have to be going in that direction. He's 90 and 74, I think, in his 2 seasons.
It's good numbers.
Western Conference Finals, and then, a battle against the champion Denver Nuggets. And I want to be clear that it's not about losing to the Denver Nuggets. Rob said it. It's about the body of work. I'm not inside that locker room. I don't know if the voice dimmed. I don't know what players he lost or what happened inside that locker room. I think, a big part of it, and he alluded to this on his final day about rotations and kind of the complaints. And yes, injuries played into that. But I think a lot of people along the way were like, why didn't this group get to play earlier? The rotations are always going to be a part of a fan base issues. I told you that, Brez, a million times, right? It's part of it. So unfortunately, this is the move we're at again. I feel like, for us, we get to know these coaches. Brez has been here a long time, right, Allie? And we've now seen it a few times. You hate to see good people go, but that's the business we're in. So I wish Darvin a lot of luck moving forward. I think he's a great man. And listen, he's only been a head coach for 2 years. He's got a winning record. He's tasted the playoffs. He's been in some battles. He's coached some of the greatest players to ever play. Coached against Kerr. He against Malone and the champs. So
he won a series against Kerr.
So wherever he goes next, he's going to take this experience and he's going to grow from it, and he's going to continue to get better.
Yeah, I just echo those sentiments as well. Just person to person, individual. He was nothing but awesome. I remember, his introductory press conference. First and foremost, I commend him so much, just from a standpoint of, as you guys know more than me too, being a part of this organization as well as being a fan for this team. Just the pressure and the expectations that come with that before you even step into the role. But I think going back to just the enthusiasm, the excitement he had from day one of wanting to accept the challenge, wanting to return to a place where he talked about his career in a coaching chair starting, essentially, right? And so from that standpoint, and then coming over here and joining us for a podcast that day and just opening up to so many stories and insights of who he was as an individual and his outlook as a first-time NBA head coach. Those are things that we appreciate on this side. And I think that they don't go unnoticed. And throughout the course of his 2 years, he never once batted an eye in terms of when we needed something from him. I remember when we asked him to kind of go out of his comfort zone from a pregame routine before the in-season tournament. We were in Phoenix, and he joined me for a 10-minute pregame interview,
I remember
essentially.
That too.
Coaches don't always do that, and it's not that they should or have to, but he took the time. So those are the little things, too, amongst the job and the role that I appreciate from this chair, as you guys mentioned, too. But to your point, at the end of the day, 90-74 when it came to the overall record, when it came to the postseason and what it's all about, especially with this franchise, just 9-12. And so when it comes to that, and Geet, you mentioned it, whether it be rotations, whether it be injuries, et cetera, it's kind of hard to ask the question because he's already been dismissed. But at the same time, I think there's a little bit of reflection there in terms of where this team went when ultimately he settled and was able to settle on a starting five, a rotation with Rui Hachimura. We have those numbers. We talked about it all season long, obviously. February 3rd, they went 22-10 in the final 2 months, 18-6 with Rui, Reeves, D'Lo, LeBron, and AD. You think of that paired with that of just the health of Anthony Davis and LeBron James playing over 70 games. How much that all kind of factored into.
Never having Vando hurt.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah. Played
Not
29
having Gabe,
games.
who you expected to be a big part of your rotation.
Yeah.
How kind of all of those essentially possibly went into the ultimate decision.
I'm so glad you brought up some amazing points. And a fan's perspective is going to be different than ours, even though we are fans of the team. Because we have these interactions with him, we know how he has stood up in the face of adversity many times in his life, and he'll be the first one to tell you, I'm a blessed man. I appreciated this opportunity. And you know what? He never backed down from his message. He never escaped his duties as a head coach. And I love that you brought up the in-season tournament. I can just remember from one of the last times I was there, I thought it was a devastating loss, and it ended up not being a devastating loss, but it was to the Warriors right on April 9th or so. We were there doing the show. And at that time, that loss almost put you in 10th for good. And they obviously got out of that because of some other things that happened. But I remember, Brez, Allie, where we stand when he walks out of the locker room and goes to the media room to talk to everybody else. We're standing there with Dean and that crew because we're going to go into the locker room when we're allowed in. And he always says hello. He always just stops for a second, shakes my hand, says my name. He did that in that right in that moment as well. And I've always appreciated that. Like he's true to himself. And I think he needs to be applauded by that. So fans who get upset about rotations and the X's and O's and things, you have every right to be. Every professional sports team and their coaches are going to be criticized by their fan base. That is part of it. But we also know the man. And that's why it's a hard day.
I'm torn. I'm really torn on the injury thing because on one hand, like you said, Allie, LeBron played 71 games. That's pretty good for a 39-year-old. AD played 76 games. That's amazing for his injury history. D'Lo played, I think, 78. Austin Reeves played all 82. So that's probably your four best players. They were present. They had pretty good attendance the whole year. But then, on the other hand, the guys that they really needed to fill in some blanks. Gabe Vincent played 11 regular season games. They had, Rui Hachimura was in and out of the lineup in the first couple months. That really screwed up that starting lineup to start with. He had 3 separate injuries that kept him out just long enough. So he couldn't join the roster pretty much full-time until February. He could have joined a little bit earlier than that, but Bottom line, Jared Vanderbilt, 29 games. That's all he played. Kept hearing he was coming back. He's coming back. And he was active for one of those games, I believe, but just didn't happen. So Darvin lost a lot of character guys, defensive guys. And I think that really undermined what the team was trying to do, because you had your 4 best offensive players pretty much the whole year. It's just he couldn't say I had the whole stable of people to try to replicate what they did last year and get into the conference finals.
I think, too, just how much conversation just for the Lakers in general going from last season to this season and trying to carry over that continuity and the chemistry. And when you're filling in the pieces outside of that core that took you to the Western Conference Finals, just how particular that building of the roster was. Because when we talk about the rotations and why didn't we go to Rui earlier, I did the show where Darvin said in New Orleans on New Year's Eve, this is going to be our starting 5 for the foreseeable future. It included Rui Hachimura. He went out in the second quarter with a calf strain, and he missed the next 7 to 8 games.
Yeah.
That's an important part of this story.
There is, because we all want to look to it, and I get it because you see the results after he got there.
He missed 15 games in that first span of the season, right?
Yes, and then followed it up with the calf strain. He missed 7 to 8 more, and having said that, what it took him, it's a lower body injury, to get more comfortable, to get back. And this isn't to make excuses. This was just kind of a fact of the matter of everything that kind of just piled up and was a part of not just it being, I guess, on the coach per se, but the little things that add up to ultimately what it takes to win and do it at a high level, things that have to go right, and things that have to work out in your favor.
You have to have some luck.
Brez, you mentioned this. That article that came out in the sources,
6
the
anonymous
voice has
sources.
dimmed in the locker room.
Yeah.
I keep going back to that because I'm not going to pretend I know what the team feels, what the players, coaches, how they meshed. I'm not going to get involved in that. I wasn't on the team, and I don't know, and I don't have any sources telling me. But there is something there in terms, you know what I mean? Because when you look at the injuries and what you just said about Rui and the overall record, it's something he could hold.
Yes.
You'd be proud of that. So there's other things. I'm sure, that's what Rob is going to be asked when he talks. And, Darvin will probably have his moment to talk. So it's hard to, for us to come out and say why or what we feel when we also don't know some of the stories behind it. So, that's why it's probably the tone of how we're doing this podcast is, because we talk a lot about it and we're all Laker fans and we're all invested. So we all have our opinions.
And AD's comments definitely reverberated around the sports nation.
Listen, that was after what game was that, Brez? 3? Or was it after?
I think it was 2 when they were up
2
20.
after when Jamal Murray hit the shot?
Yeah. And for him to say, there were times.
Oh, it's when he had, one shot, Brez, in the 4th? Wasn't it like he had his best game ever and then all of a sudden.
One shot and
he
one
was
rebound,
frustrated
I
that
think.
day.
One shot in the 4th.
Yeah. And he said afterwards, I already mentioned it, but I'll say it again because I think it's important.
Yeah.
Because AD said there were times where we did not know what we were doing at both ends of the court. And most people were like, oh, that's an indictment on Darvin. And he could have also been talking about defensive rotations, his own teammates. He didn't really specify what it was, but if it was about Darvin, that's tough to hear that a team was not well enough prepared in the second game of the playoffs.
You know what's interesting about pro sports, guys, is there 52 guys on the football team, the baseball team, 25, whatever, 40, depending, and then you got the basketball team. Like, you can't get rid of every player. It's not realistic.
Yeah, no.
So when you're making a change, it's coach.
Yeah.
It's GM. Those are the guys that go right over the players. Now, of course, a player can be traded and you move on from said player, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but players always have to hold a little bit of the blame pie.
Yeah.
If they didn't know what was going on or they're not fulfilling the expectation, like, it's on them too. It just to be clear for everyone, it's not just on the head coach at all fans.
Right. And by the way, the fans.
I think I always have a sensitivity to it because of coaching, or whatever. Like, I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
but fans don't think that way, as we know. Laker fans, they don't have Darvin Ham trading cards. They're not trying to get a LeBron card with a little piece of the jersey in it. Darvin Ham's poster is on nobody's bedroom wall. I guarantee you. It's hard for fans to blame the players, and that's just part. That's been that way forever. When I was covering the Lakers when they were winning back-to-back championships with Kobe and Pau, I'd get emails at the LA Times about Phil Jackson's rotations are terrible. I'm like, what? It's crazy. Like
People
in the middle
want
of the
Steve
season,
Kerr fired all the time because Steph's not back in the game in time, right? Like,
exactly.
Hey, I mean, won 4 titles.
But that's how fans are ingrained in. It's the coach. It's the coach because it's much easier to blame the coach than the players. And I get it because it's hard to say, AD, man, what happened in that second quarter of game 2? You had one shot. No, it's, the coach needed to get him in better position.
And flip side of that is, and I don't know what inside that Laker, facility and the powers that be that make these decisions, they're also looking at it. Flip side of that is like, okay, were they prepared the best they can? Here is our window. How do we maximize this? Is he the guy? I know there's a lot of tough conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure that go on because they also love the man. Yeah. They hired him, right? So it's hard on everyone, man. It's
tough day.
Everyone wants to win. They're playing the Denver Nuggets.
Right.
It's like,
yeah,
but that's why I kind of wanted to say it goes beyond the Denver series, obviously, right? And that's just something that, it's not about winning or losing right there in that moment.
And I appreciate what Michael Malone did. We've kind of trolled him a lot over the last year because of his post-Laker victory celebrations. But in his closing comments, after they beat the Lakers in 5, he did say, you know what, and I hope Darvin Ham stays because I admire him. I think he's got a good thing going here, and I will be sad if he's not here next season.
Head coaches know what goes into it.
Yeah.
They know the amount of work you put in for that job. And if Michael Malone, like sometimes coaches are given a longer leash because of the region they're in. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I always tell Allie laughing, like Pop would have been fired by the Spurs if he was in a major market because they were the 1 seed, losing to an 8. But in San Antonio, it was like, cool, we'll roll it back next year and then they win, right? Like Spo, getting Riley's backing early in his career. Like now he's known as one of the best coaches in the league. Michael Malone. Also, like when Jamal Murray gets hurt, Denver's not good the next year. There was no panic. It was like, this is our guy. So you gotta, as a head coach, you have to get through some things before you stick and before you maybe find that job where you're at for 5 to 10 years. It's really, it's difficult.
After the Lakers were eliminated in Game 5 on Monday, in Darvin's last answer with the media, he was asked to describe what his experience was like as a first-time head coach, leading this franchise with LeBron, AD, and all the expectations that come with it. Take a listen.
It's been a hell of a 2 years, though, I'll tell you that. Sitting in this seat, it's been a hell of a 2 years. A lot of good things that got done, but ultimately, you want to win that ultimate prize. I know what that feels like. I had that feeling a couple of times. So you want to do everything in your power to prevent, to continue to feel this feeling we're feeling now, the feeling of defeat. And so, again, I'm going to control what I can control, continue to grow, and hopefully be a better coach for it.
And that's exactly what he will do.
Can you ask for a better answer?
Yeah. But the perspective, too, of understanding.
He gets it.
He's not making excuses. He knows that this franchise is about winning and winning at a high level.
And I'll get better.
And his immediate boss, Rob Pelinka, has said numerous times in his tenure as the general manager and the president of basketball operations, we don't play for West Finals. We don't play to win a round or two. We play for championships. And obviously, it was fun last year. They got close. They got one round away from being in the finals. And by the way, all 4 of those games are pretty hotly contested last year, and again this year. But the bottom line is the results were not there after 2 years, and we move on.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. So Lakeshow fans, remember you can be a part of this show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take this break, but when we return, we'll continue this conversation as the Lakers have dismissed Darvin Ham. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. So to continue the conversation regarding the Lakers and Darvin Ham parting ways, the headline that the Lakers have let head coach Darvin Ham go. They'll be looking for a 7th different head coach since Phil Jackson stepped away in 2011. Just to give you a little background here, Mike Brown, Mike D'Antoni, Byron Scott, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, and Darvin. Luke and Frank both got 3 years. Byron and Darvin lasted 2 years each. Mike Brown, 1 season, and then fired after 5 games into 2012-13. D'Antoni was hired after Brown and handled the rest of that year and 1 more full year. So it's just kind of an interesting...
That's the history of our network. I mean, that's when we started.
in 2012.
Yeah. So my first interview was before we were even on the air. Was with Mike Brown.
Wow.
So
You guys played basketball together, right?
yeah, we did. I missed a layup. They like to show it a lot.
Obviously, you missed a what?
I was in his backyard doing like a one. You know when you don't use your other
Yeah.
hand, you just like that, and it just went flying out of my hand, like off the backboard, like literally throwing up. It was like along came Paulie. It was like I was Philip Seymour Hoffman, and
The headline was that you didn't know how to play basketball.
no, we just aired it. It kept running on loop like for years.
Were you wearing your suit? Is that why? Were you a little restricted?
No, just
Okay.
got
Trying to help you.
Got cocky.
Did you ever wear this outfit as a suit? Because it's a great look.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And
all I'm
those kicks. Where did those kicks come from?
These are new. Just got these at Spider surfboards.
You picked them out?
I have a source.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sauces.
A friend.
I'm very
that's-
impressed.
Yeah. So thank
Those
you.
are nice. All right, back to this conversation.
Look
When
good,
it
Pete.
comes to what's next, obviously this is all very fresh. Do you have a sense? Do you have a feeling of maybe what the Lakers are looking for in
Nope.
their next head coach?
Sorry, Press, take it. I have
And
zero
anyone
clue.
of the names that have been mentioned, like Mike Budenholzer, Kenny Atkinson, JJ Redick.
See, now JJ
Don't even
Redick.
say Ty Lue, guys. He coaches for the Clippers.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
literally in the playoffs as we do this, and he's looking
And he
for
has
an
one more
extension.
deal.
It's easy to tackle
year.
Ty Lue with just a couple sentences. He's got one more year on his contract with the Clippers, and the Lakers had a chance to get him a few
They had a
years ago.
chance. He's not exactly.
And Ty is fishing for an extension. I mean, why not? You know, he's got some pretty good leverage now.
Brez, what happens when a ship sails away?
Yeah,
Is it
Does
is
it come
gone?
back?
it's gone.
Okay.
It's gone. Yeah, it's. I
Can we
think in
do
this
like
case,
let's
Outer
move on
Banks
to some other
style and go
names.
find it? Go look for it?
I mean,
Outer Banks
the
style?
Lakers might make that call,
Let's
but
see.
you know they can be rebuffed because he does have one more year on his contract. So,
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Sailed.
Yeah. So, but the JJ Redick thing really fascinates me because the Lakers, that would be so outside the box, you know. And if you look at the history of the coaches you just named, probably 3 or 4 were head coaches elsewhere, and they have taken some gambles. They hired our friend Luke Walton. He'd only been an assistant, and they hired Darvin, who had also been a career assistant. So the one thing they don't do
Vogel
is
had a successful career.
Vogel. Yeah, he
coming
was.
in.
Yeah,
So it's
he
been-
was.
You're right. They've had like all the
Yeah, the only thing they don't do
combinations.
is hire college coaches, and I don't think that's going to happen either. It's just too big of a franchise.
bringing in a college coach to coach LeBron.
Yeah,
and AD
exactly.
And
Yeah,
D'Lo.
I mean Jay Wright would be
That's
the
hard.
one guy I could maybe think of, but no, it's just not.
it's just a different game.
It's a different game. I don't think it's going to happen at all. But the JJ Redick is so far outside the box. This would be the most unusual coaching hire for them since Pat Riley, back in the '80s. I mean, no coaching experience at all. Just retired from playing the game 3 years ago. He had a nice run in the league about a decade or so. Obviously, he and LeBron are tight. If you've listened to that podcast, I know you listen to a lot, Allie. It's a very intensive X's and O's podcast that JJ and LeBron put together. So obviously, there's a comfortable level there with the star player. So he'd be really interesting to me. He doesn't have the pedigree though of like a Mike. I always butcher his last name, Budenholzer.
Yeah.
Who won a championship just a couple
Bud.
years ago with Coach Bud. Yeah, we'll just call him Coach Bud.
Ironically, with Darvin on his staff.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got the pedigree. He's got the title, and the Bucks have not been good since he left. They've gone through two different coaches of their own.
Yeah.
So, you know, those two, I think, are probably the leaders in the clubhouse. Kenny Atkinson, he's had some runs as a head coach, but mostly a career assistant.
He's on Kerr's staff.
He's on Steve's staff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a good guy. Doesn't have the name recognition of a
Forget
Redick
he
or
was
a Coach
going to
Bud.
get the job. He was about to leave. Someone will remind me.
Brooklyn.
No, but he was in Brooklyn. I'm saying he was going to leave Steve's staff because he was supposed to get
Oh.
a different job. Then he came back. He done.
Yeah, that's
Charlotte?
right. That's right.
Charlotte
I think
Maybe.
you're right.
I don't
He
know. I'm
went
trying to remember,
briefly
but
and then
yeah.
retracted it.
Yeah.
interviewed, maybe?
Yeah. But I think those are the 3 people that come to my mind right now, including Ty Lue,
So are
until you
we-
realize he's still under contract.
When JJ Redick's name gets thrown out there, should we all just say LeBron is coming back?
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
No, that's- yeah.
If LeBron's gone and retiring or whatever, is JJ Redick the coach? No,
Yeah, I think you're right.
unless you're starting over from scratch. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think we're all thinking of candidates to coach this current Laker team. So we need to know if this current Laker team is the squad for next year. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're starting over
Yeah.
or you're going a different direction, then that takes a different coach. If you're coaching LeBron James and this crew right now, that
Yes.
takes a different kind of coach.
Right. Yeah, it's a great point.
Let's not kid ourselves. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You got to have,
I mean, I think LeBron's
Relationships
back.
matter.
I think LeBron's back. He's got till late June. He's got June 29th to figure it out. $51.5 million player option. That's a big number to decline. Now, he might decline it and ask for a little raise
You
from
know
the
what's a bigger
Lakers.
number? if you decline it.
And gets like a nice little raise, yeah.
Can you answer this, Brez? I think it was Draymond Green, Allie, and I were talking about. We're like, we got to ask Brez. Draymond said on his podcast, like LeBron could
There's something in his
opt out,
a clause and utilizes bird rights.
utilizes bird rights, and then you could bring in someone else. And I'm like,
and have more money to be able to.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's outside my coverage, and I don't care.
I mean, they're so far above the salary cap.
Yeah.
You know, even if you cannot negotiate an existing contract downward, but if he opts out, he could sign for 30. And then they have a little bit more room to sign a couple more people.
Why would you do that, Michael Bresnahan?
Yeah,
I mean, you can have 50 or 60.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying he's going to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm just
I
saying,
don't
right,
think
you're
he
right.
should do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
If
I
you
got
can
you.
get 55 million instead of 51 and a half, get it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not quite sure what his ceiling would be if he opts out.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Is it
somewhere
like,
in the
isn't it like
mid-50s.
2? I thought it was like almost 2 for 120. Isn't it up to 60?
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
it that-
yeah, you're right. I'm thinking
Yeah.
like just next season.
Yeah.
What he can
But that
opt out
player
and make.
option's 51 and a half?
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll opt out of it and re-sign. I think he'll get a nice little boost.
Or he retires.
Yeah.
I don't think he retires after the way he's playing. I mean, obviously, he's not done yet, right?
Look, it was clear that Kobe wanted and needed to retire. It was about a month into his final season, 2015-16.
Injuries had been
Yeah. I mean, once he snapped his Achilles in 2013,
shoulder, Achilles.
yeah, he just wasn't the same after that in April of 13. And it was obvious. You know, he'd been trying to play for a month or two. He said, you know what, I'm done. It was in season, which was really interesting to me. And I'm glad he decided in season because it was really fun to cover that last, probably the second, it was probably a fourth of the way into the season. Really fun to cover that. But I don't, there's no comparison between Kobe's last year or two and LeBron's last year or two.
And I think I bring it up to you guys to be like, does this coaching search go on until we know if LeBron's coming back? That has to be
That's
part
what
of
I
it.
was just going to ask.
Right? Like,
How
that's
long
why I
do
don't
you
even know
think-
why we throw names out.
I think it's, well, the general rule of thumb, you want to have a coach in place by the draft, which is June 27th. And the Lakers presumably are going to have a first-round pick. I think it's a slow speed chase. Yeah, I think this thing takes a good few weeks at least.
What about workouts, Brez? Who's the staff working people out? Is it the G League staff? Like,
yeah, they've been in
what I'm
that situation in the last coaching hire or two where they didn't have a coach for some of the workouts, but you know, they bring in Bill Burtka, Mr. Nonagenarian. He'll come down and help out at age 95, I think he is.
but I'm talking about leading the workouts.
Exactly.
Dane.
When do workouts start?
Johnson.
You mean draft workouts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And a lot of the assistants got let go as well.
I was thinking this team needed to get back in the gym right now.
Oh, yeah. Allie's ready to have boot camp
I'm thinking
next week.
pre-draft workouts. I'm thinking pre-draft.
Allie wants some berries next week.
Yeah. You definitely got to, you know, that's a great question. Who is going to stick around and lead the workouts for the current players?
Well,
Question you guys can ask Rob when he has a press conference.
There you go. Yeah. But
like we said, unfortunately, fortunately, we got a lot of time.
A lot of time.
This is not going to be solved next week or the week after. This I'd be shocked if it was. Put it that way.
Next time we do a podcast, though, we'll have already heard from the Lakers, I think. So
Yeah.
More to, you know.
You know who probably won't be leading the workouts?
Who's that?
This guy.
Oh, there he is.
This flipped up.
Oh, that's
I wasn't
so
a suit.
funny.
If you want to know the truth,
are in a suit.
Yeah, there's a long sleeve shirt. Note to self. And I learned that a lot here. If you're in a tight, constrictive shirt, you're going to have alligator arms. Things are going to be right.
Yeah.
And I'm in dress shoes, which
you
is
are.
idiotic.
You wanted it right back from Mike Brown.
I said, give me that ball,
Yeah,
Mike.
give me. Is that
Look at the
Casa Brown?
handles.
What were you guys doing?
We were just at. See how I spun it off, Allie?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do, Allie, was this. Grab where you palm it and kind of just, but I didn't have that in my game at the time with the slippery hands.
Yeah.
I went to do this and just.
The ball looks like one of those
And,
shiny
who
ones
was shooting
anyways.
that? Chase? What was his name? You Arash Markazi? You guys know Chase?
No.
Who?
I don't know, Chase.
We worked here.
Who's the producer in the background?
Yeah.
Who is that person?
Who's that?
There's
That's
some,
Mike Brown.
No, there's some other dude in there.
Oh,
was it
Chase.
Eddie? It looked like Eddie.
I don't know if Eddie was there. Brian DeClue was there.
Okay. Wow.
So
Had the whole crew.
good times.
Yeah.
Well, that's the latest.
You know, we were doing a demo in here one time, and Big Game got upset with me. You were here. We were. Did you ever do demos with us back here?
Yeah.
Demo. And I made like 5 or 6 straight buckets, and I remember everyone getting pissed and James getting pissed. You know, that's never aired. It's never recorded. It's never been played on loop again.
we lost that video.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Hey, don't worry. We can always go
But
back
every
to
mistake you've ever made.
Oh, yeah.
But any like
always
Emmy
on film.
award-winning thing you've done literally is
Buried.
lost in
Archived.
space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, we can always go back to my defensive slides, too, or my defensive
Yeah, that's going to be for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Dinwiddie
we've
dance.
seen that
Bryce, you got a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We all do.
Oh, yeah.
We
Wait,
all do. man.
Dinwiddie dance.
That's what makes it a fun place.
What's your
that,
Dinwiddie dance?
I don't even remember. It was.
But
it was
I remember
some
James
weird-
getting irritated with me, and I would like to see that video again. I'm going to go search it.
Why was
You
he
should.
mad that you made him?
Because it was like a box out drill, and I kept going bucket, like I was feeling it, and I was just sick of every highlight being me missing, so I was like in a zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, took off the jacket. I finally like realized like you can't
Yeah.
be
It's hard.
constricted.
Plus,
Guess what
the lights in here really hurt the arc of the. But you always seem.
And
to
let's
make
be
them.
honest, like I don't hoop anymore, so there's no like it's not like
Right.
I'm.
You're always
I
volleying.
mean, when the plantar fascia went out 10 years ago, that was the last time I stepped on a basketball court.
Yeah, let's handle that. But you do have good kicks.
RJ carried me out of the building, basically.
Really?
Are you serious?
Not carried, but I did like a little
Oh man.
Oh my.
aviation gym, men's league.
Is there footage of that?
Luke Walton's on the team.
Come on.
We crushed teams. Yeah,
That's awesome.
What was your team name?
Wonder Bread. Matt Leinart. A couple of name droppers right there.
Was he good?
Good.
Then a lot
Leinart?
of local guys. He liked to shoot threes.
Okay. Would you just lob it
Luke
to
averaged
RJ
about
and
40
Luke?
a half.
Yeah.
Did I just see that Matt Leinart just had hip replacement surgery at like
Double. Yeah, he
Yeah.
like hip. These hips have been
40?
replaced. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 37-2 as a college quarterback. He's pretty good.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, he's probably
Yeah.
40, 41.
He's in 40s, right?
All right, well, we'll have more on all of this, I'm sure, next week.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks to all of you for listening to the Lakeshow podcast, presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating or review on your favorite
ripped it out of
podcast
his
app.
hand.
We want
Around
to hear
the
from
back,
you.
eat
Send us
with
your
the
questions. Hit us up on X. Really Clifton.
Who's that guy right there?
At Mike
That's
Until
I
next
got to see it again. Flip. That's it. Really weird how that went out of my hand, right?
Yeah, that really flew off.
You know
the
what I
back
mean? Like I tried to go like this, but it's like a Statue of Liberty.
Right. I thought you were going to try to dunk it.
Yeah. What a complete idiot.